Hello, everyone. This is Be You Unique. Remember, learn like yourself, improve what we have to improve like yourself, because you are unique. So, be you. You've been created with your own personality. No one like you in this world. Uh, Jesus, all of us, we know him. Jesus is the biggest star lived in this earth. Ever biggest star in this earth. But there is a question here. How Jesus really look like? Or did Jesus really look like? We used to see Jesus in different pages of internet, different pages of books, different pages of different documents from different areas. But according to those pages from different areas, Jesus really look differently. They use their image according to how they think Jesus is look like. But what did Jesus really look like? What you have to know is this one. No one has a photograph of Jesus. That is true. No one has a photograph of Jesus. He never posed for a portrait or a sculpture. Still, he has appeared in the works of countless artists throughout the centuries. Of course, those artists did not know what Jesus really looked like. Prevailing culture, religious beliefs, and the wishes of the patrons often dictated for how the artists portrayed Jesus. Even so, their imagery could influence even though people's view of Jesus and his teachings. Some artists depicted Jesus as a frail weakling with long hair and a thin beard, all emphasized a look of melancholy. In other presentations, Jesus appears supernatural, adorned with a halo, or distant from those around him. Do such portrayers correctly characterize Jesus? How can you find out? One way is to examine statements in the Bible that can shed some light on what look he might have looked like. They can also help us to have correct view of him. So, of course, we will use Bible. Let us see those details that can help us to try to imagine how Jesus have looked like. The first detail we can see is from Hebrews chapter 10 verse 5. Chapter 10 verse 5. So when he comes into the world, he says, sacrifice and offering you did not want, but you prepared a body for me. You prepared a body for me. A body of Jesus was prepared. Imagine, a body was prepared by God. How a body prepared by God should look like. Imagine how the body of has prepared by God look like. This detail can show you how Jesus somehow have looked like. Another detail in Matthew chapter 3 verse 13 to 17. Matthew chapter 3 verse 13. Then Jesus came from Galilee to the Jordan to John in order to be baptized by him. But the latter tried to prevent him, saying, I'm the one who needs to be baptized by you, And are you coming to me? Jesus replied to him, Let it, let it be this time, for in that way it is suitable for us to carry out all that is righteous. Then he quit preventing him. After being baptized, Jesus immediately came up from the water, and look, the heavens were opened up, and he saw God's Spirit descending like a dove and coming upon him. Look, also a voice from the heaven said, This is my Son, the beloved, whom I have approved. Keep this in mind. This is my Son, the beloved, whom I have approved. Remember the detail in Hebrews. Jesus has a body that has been prepared by God. And here, the God said, This is my Son, the beloved, whom I have approved. So, Jesus has a body which is good, which is better, which is best, because it has been prepared by God. And also, he has been approved by God. So he has a good body. And in Luke chapter 1 verse 31 to and 35, some 30 years earlier, the angel Gabriel had revealed to Mary, You will become pregnant and give birth to a son, God's son. So Jesus was God's son. So how God's son have looked like? So when you try to imagine how Jesus was looked like, or have looked like, you see, he has a good body that has been prepared by God. And of course he was a God's son. So Jesus was a perfect man, as was Adam at his creation. That has been recorded in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 45. So Jesus must have been a well-formed man, and he probably had features similar to those of his Jewish mother, Mary. Jesus wore a belt, as was customary among Jews in contrast to Romans. Such belts were a symbol of dignity and respectability. They were not long and unkempt. Jesus undoubtedly attended to or trimmed his belts and had his hair neatly clipped. Only those set aside as Nazarites, such as Samson, did not cut their hair. This has been recorded in Numbers chapter 6 verse 5 and Judges chapter 13 verse 5. Only those set aside as Nazarites, such as Samson, did not cut the hair. For the better part of 30 years, Jesus was also one of the people, of course, uses to work in his daily life. This detail we are going to read in Mark will help us also to know how Jesus have looked like. You may open in Mark chapter 6 verse 3. Chapter 6 verse 3. This is the carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James, Joseph, Judah, and Simon. Is it not? And his sisters are here with us. Are they not? So they began to stumble because of him. How can this detail help us to know, or to try to imagine how Jesus has looked like? Jesus was a carpenter, working without the benefit of modern power tools. You get? He was a carpenter, working without the benefit of modern power tools. The first step of making carpentry in early years was this: to search for or to look for boats. Boats, yes. So they have to look after trees that can produce boats and cut it off, and also pull out boats from that trees. So it was really a work that requires power to do this. And after finding boats, they also want to find. They're also making some of the tools from those boats. So the whole work, really require power. These details help us to see and to know that Jesus was a powerful man. He was a power. He has the power to do these things. So that is really a detail that shows how Jesus has looked like. This means that he therefore must have had a steady build. There is another detail. There is another detail here. You may open it in John chapter 2, verse 14 to 17. This also will help you and will help all of us to see or to try to imagine how Jesus has looked like. John chapter 2, verse 14 to 17. John chapter 2, verse 14. He found in the temple those selling cattle and sheep and doves and the money brokers in their seats. So after making a heap of loaves, he drove all those with the sheep and cattle out of the temple, and he pulled out the coins of money changers and overturned the dead tables. And he said to those selling the drove, "Take these things away from here. Stop making the house of my father a house of commerce." His disciples recalled that it is written, "The zeal of your house will consume me." How these details can show us how Jesus has looked like. It takes a strong and powerful man to perform that feat. Yes. As we have read in John chapter 2, verse 14 to 17, in his ministry, he single-handedly drove all those with the sheep and cattle out of the temple, and he pulled out the coins of the money changers and overturned the dead tables. So this action really requires body power. It requires body power. This means his body has power to do this. I think this is well understandable. So we are going to see another detail, but this is the topic, the first part of it, and we are going to see other details in second part of this topic called "What did Jesus really look like?" So welcome in the second topic. Let's take a look. Remember, be you. Learn like yourself. Improve what you have to improve like yourself, because you are unique.